The question's been posed to me, how is prayer different from wishful thinking? My suspicion is that's the kind of challenge that might come from an atheist or a skeptic of some sort. And he said, you're praying for things, but that's just wishful thinking. It's just blind hope. Well, on the one hand, I have confessed in the past that there's a lot about prayer that I don't understand, and it is a mystery to me. But the answer to this question is fairly simple. Strictly speaking, the difference between prayer and wishful thinking is that wishful thinking is a desire and a hope for something, that you would gain something. Prayer is a request for someone to give you something you want. And in this particular case, prayer is not just a request, because you don't pray to people, you pray to God, and you are asking God to give you something in virtue of His mercy and in virtue of the fact that He has no limitations. He's capable of doing all these things. And we do these things because God has encouraged us to go to Him and ask for things. Now those things are somewhat limited. We have to be careful how we ask and why we ask and the motives and what we ask for. But clearly, prayer isn't wishful thinking. That is, the definition of prayer is different from the definition of wishful thinking. Now, it remains to be seen whether, when we pray, we are doing anything more than wishful thinking. That's a separate question. And that question can be addressed by addressing the broader issue of whether the one we're asking to do something on our behalf in prayer actually exists to be able to do something. Now, if you think that there's no possibility that God exists, then you are going to dismiss all prayers as mere wishful thinking. If you have good reason to believe that there is a God that is interested in engaging us, interacting with us, and being part of our lives, such that He will answer requests, well, then prayer is not an exercise in wishful thinking. It's a request of someone to do something, and we're not sure whether that person will do that or not. God, He may answer, He may not. He may say yes, He may say no, He may say wait. Okay, well, those are legitimate possibilities. Now, why would we think that prayer isn't just wishful thinking, but it is a legitimate request of someone who exists? Well, we have arguments for the existence of God to begin with. And secondly, we have all kinds of testimonies of people who have had their prayers answered. And I know people say, well, that's just a coincidence. And one wag said, well, all I know is when I stop praying, the coincidences stop happening. So there seems to be a connection to prayer and things happening where it's causal, it's not really a coincidence. Secondly, there are certain prayers that are answered where there's no possibility it could be a coincidence, because the answer to the prayer required a divine, miraculous intervention. And to claim that all of those things are just coincidences or just luck or something like that is intellectually dishonest. It's specious. And so I think we have good reason to believe that prayer isn't wishful thinking, that it amounts to actually making a request of a being that exists who is happy in certain cases to respond, and we have evidences that those responses have actually taken place. And virtually every single person that is listening to my voice can think of occasions where God answered their prayers. Now, some of those prayers, you might say, well, maybe that was a coincidence, but why give coincidence the benefit of the doubt when there's good reasons to believe that God actually exists and He cares about what we're doing? I'm not willing to do that. I'm going to give the credit to God, even when it looks like a coincidence. But there are too many answers to prayer that couldn't possibly be coincidences. Prayer is not wishful thinking. Prayer is a meaningful request of a powerful God to do something on our behalf. And He often says yes.